My son's best friend turned 18 on a Saturday in June, and by Sunday morning, he was in my kitchen telling me he'd been in love with me since he was 15. Before I tell you everything that happened, make sure you subscribe, because this is the kind of story that will make you understand why some lines exist to be crossed, and why crossing them changes everything, and you'll want to know if I was strong enough to walk away. My name is Rhett Morgan, I'm 43 years old, and I've been a single father since my son Dante was 2. His mother left us for someone younger, richer, more exciting, and I've spent the last 16 years proving I could do this alone. I work as a contractor, building decks, renovating kitchens, the kind of honest work that leaves sawdust in your hair and calluses on your hands. We live in a small town outside Portland, the kind of place where everyone knows your business and privacy is a luxury. Dante's best friend was a kid named Lyle Brennan. Lyle moved to town when he was 14, right after his parents' messy divorce. His dad had gotten the house, his mom had gotten her freedom, and Lyle had gotten the short end of both. He was quiet, artistic, the kind of kid who got shoved into lockers and called names. Dante befriended him immediately. My son has always had a hero complex, and suddenly Lyle was at our house constantly. Eating dinner with us. Doing homework at our kitchen table. Sleeping over on weekends. He became part of our family, and I became something like a second father to him. Teaching him how to change a tire, how to throw a punch, how to stand up straight and look people in the eye. I never noticed when it changed. When he started looking at me differently. When his hugs lasted too long. When he found excuses to be near me, to touch my arm, to ask my opinion on things that didn't matter. I never noticed because I wasn't looking. I should have been. The party was small, just Dante, a few friends from school, and Lyle. We grilled burgers in the backyard, and I watched these kids who weren't quite kids anymore drink beer they thought I didn't know about and make plans for futures that felt impossibly far away. Dante was leaving for college in the fall, University of Oregon, full ride for track. Lyle was staying local, going to community college, studying art. "You're going to miss him," Lyle said, appearing beside me at the grill. He'd grown over the past year, filled out, lost the gangly teenage awkwardness. He was beautiful now, in that devastating way that 18-year-olds are before life gets its claws in. "I will," I admitted. "House is going to be too quiet. Maybe I could come by. Keep you company." "You don't have to do that." "I want to." His voice was soft, and when I looked at him, there was something in his eyes I couldn't name. Or didn't want to. The party wound down around midnight. Dante and his friends crashed in the living room, a pile of sleeping bags and empty pizza boxes. Lyle helped me clean up, moving around my kitchen like he'd done it 1,000 times before. "Thank you," I said, taking the trash bag from him. "For being such a good friend to Dante. For being part of this family." "Rhett." He said my name like it hurt. "I need to tell you something." "Okay. I'm in love with you." The words hung in the air between us, impossible and true. I stood there, trash bag in hand, and felt the world tilt. "Lyle, I know what you're going to say. That I'm too young. That you're my best friend's dad. That this is inappropriate and wrong and I should just forget about it. But I can't. I've tried for 3 years, and I can't." "3 years?" My voice came out strangled. "Since I was 15. Since you taught me how to build that bookshelf for my room. You were so patient, so kind, and you looked at me like I mattered. Like I was worth your time. And I fell in love with you right there in your garage, covered in sawdust, and I've been in love with you ever since." "Jesus Christ, Lyle. You were a child. I'm not anymore." He stepped closer, and I could smell his cologne, something young and sweet that made my chest ache. "I'm 18 now. Legal. An adult. And I'm telling you how I feel because I leave for school in September, and if I don't say this now, I'll regret it forever. This can't happen." "Why not?" "Because you're my son's best friend. Because I've known you since you were 14. Because I'm 25 years older than you. Because you feel it too." I froze. "What? You feel it too?" "I see the way you look at me when you think I'm not paying attention. The way you find excuses to be near me. The way your voice changes when you say my name." He was so close now I could feel the heat of him. "Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me you don't feel anything, and I'll never bring this up again." I should have told him he was wrong. Should have sent him home, put distance between us, done the responsible thing. Instead, I said nothing. "Rhett." His hand came up to my face, fingers trembling against my jaw. "Please. Just tell me the truth." "The truth?" I caught his wrist, meaning to push him away, but my grip softened instead. "The truth is you're right. And that terrifies me." His breath hitched. So what do we do? Nothing. We do nothing. You go home. We forget this conversation happened. You move on with your life, and I. And you what? Pretend you don't want me? Pretend the last 3 years of us dancing around this didn't happen. Yes. That's exactly what we do. I don't believe you. He leaned in, and I felt his breath against my lips. If you really wanted me to go, you would have pushed me away by now. He was right. God help me, he was right. My hand was still on his wrist, but I wasn't pushing. Wasn't moving. Was barely breathing. This is wrong, I whispered. Then why does it feel so right? He kissed me. Or I kissed him. I don't know who moved first, but suddenly his mouth was on mine, and it was nothing like I'd imagined, because I had imagined it, in weak moments I refused to acknowledge. It was desperate and tender and tasted like birthday cake and beer and terrible decisions. I pulled away. We can't. Dante is asleep. They all are. This is insane. I know. His eyes were bright, wild. But I don't care. I've waited 3 years for this. I'm not waiting anymore. He kissed me again, and this time I didn't pull away. This time I let myself have what I'd been denying I wanted. My hands found his hair, his waist, pulling him closer, and he made a sound that went straight through me. We made it upstairs. Barely. Hands fumbling with clothes, mouths never breaking apart, both of us desperate and trembling and terrified. In my bedroom, the place that had been mine and mine alone for 16 years, he looked at me like I was something precious. Are you sure? I asked, even though we were already too far gone. I've never been more sure of anything. What happened next was tender and overwhelming and completely wrong and absolutely perfect. He touched me like I was something worth worshipping, and I tried to be gentle, tried to make it good for him, tried to ignore the voice in my head screaming about all the ways this would destroy everything. After, we lay tangled in my sheets, his head on my chest, my fingers tracing patterns on his shoulder. The house was quiet. Outside, the Oregon night was soft and full of stars. I love you, he whispered. I know I'm not supposed to say that. I know this was probably just a one-time thing for you. But I need you to know. I love you, Rhett. Lyle. You don't have to say it back. I just needed to tell you. I should have told him this was a mistake. Should have ended it right there. Should have been the adult, the responsible one, the father figure he'd trusted. Instead, I held him tighter. This can't happen again. I know. Dante can never know. I know. When you leave for school, this ends. Whatever this is, it ends. Okay. He tilted his head up to look at me, and his eyes were wet. But we have the summer. Lyle. Please. Just give me the summer. Let me have this. Have you. Before I have to let you go forever. I knew it was wrong. Knew I was being selfish, reckless, destructive. Knew that this would end badly no matter how carefully we navigated it. But I said yes anyway. The summer was a fever dream. Stolen moments when Dante was at practice or work or out with friends. Lyle showing up at my job sites with coffee, staying to help, finding excuses to touch my hand, my shoulder, my face. Late nights in my truck, parked at the overlook outside town, talking about everything and nothing while the city lights spread out below us. He told me about his childhood, his parents' divorce, the loneliness that had eaten him alive until Dante had extended a hand in friendship. Told me about realizing he was gay, about the fear and shame and eventual acceptance. Told me about the first time he'd looked at me and thought him. I told him about my ex-wife, about raising Dante alone, about the bone-deep exhaustion of being a single parent and the fierce pride that came with it. Told him about the loneliness of watching my son grow up, knowing he'd leave someday. Told him things I'd never told anyone. We were careful. So careful. Never when Dante was around. Never anywhere we could be seen. Always ending things before we crossed too many lines, even though we'd already crossed the biggest one. But careful doesn't mean safe. Dante found out on a Tuesday in August. Walked into the house early from practice, found Lyle in the kitchen wearing my shirt, making coffee like he lived there. Found me coming down the stairs, hair still wet from the shower we'd shared. The look on my son's face broke something in me. Dad? His voice was small, confused. What? Dante, this isn't, I started, but there were no words that would make this okay. How long? He was looking between us, and I watched realization crash over him like a wave. Jesus Christ. How long has this been going on? 2 months, Lyle said quietly. Since my birthday. Your birthday? You're 18. Dante looked at me like I was a stranger. He's my father. I know. Lyle's voice broke. I know, and I'm sorry, but I love him. You love him? Lyle, he's twice your age. He's my dad. What the hell were you thinking? I wasn't, Lyle said. I was just feeling. Well, feel somewhere else. Get out of my house. Dante, I tried, but he held up a hand. Not you. You don't get to talk right now. You don't get to explain or justify or whatever you think you're going to do. His eyes were wet, furious. You're my father. You're supposed to protect me. Not sleep with my best friend. That's not what this is, I said, but even I could hear how weak it sounded. Then what is it? True love? A relationship? Are you going to date him? Bring him to family dinners? Introduce him as your boyfriend who's closer to my age than yours? I had no answer. Lyle grabbed his things and left without another word. The door closed behind him with a finality that felt like a grave. Dante and I stood in the kitchen, and the silence was deafening. I'm sorry, I said finally. You're right. I should have known better. I should have. I don't want to hear it. He was crying now, angry tears that cut me deeper than any words. I trusted you. Both of you. And you betrayed that trust in the worst possible way. It wasn't about betraying you. Then what was it about? Because from where I'm standing, you took advantage of a kid who's looked up to you his whole life. He's not a kid. He's 18. He's my best friend. And you, his voice cracked. You were supposed to be better than this. He went to his room and didn't come out for the rest of the day. I called Lyle, texted him, left voicemails. He didn't respond. 3 days later, I got a letter. Handwritten, on the stationery I'd bought him for his birthday. Rhett, I'm leaving. Not in September for school, now. I've transferred to a program in California. I'm leaving tomorrow, and I'm not coming back. This isn't because of Dante, though he has every right to hate me. It's because I realized something after he walked in on us. We were never going to have a future. We were always just borrowing time, stealing moments that didn't belong to us. And sooner or later, it was going to destroy all of us. I love you. I will always love you. You were the first person who made me feel seen, who made me feel like I mattered. And what we had this summer was real and beautiful and the most alive I've ever felt. But it was also wrong. Not because of the age difference or the scandal or what people would think. Wrong because loving you meant hurting Dante. And I can't live with that. I'm setting you free. Setting us both free. Maybe in another life, we get the timing right. Maybe in another life, I'm older and you're available and there's no one between us. But in this life, we were always going to end in ruins. Thank you for the summer. Thank you for seeing me. Thank you for loving me, even if you never said the words. I hope Dante forgives you. I hope you forgive yourself. And I hope, someday, you'll forgive me for leaving. Always, Lyle. He was gone before I could respond. California. 3,000 miles away. I called. He didn't answer. I texted. He blocked my number. He just disappeared. Dante left for college 2 weeks later. Our goodbye was stilted, careful. He hugged me at the door, but it felt obligatory. Empty. I'm sorry, I said one more time. I know, he said. I'm just not ready to forgive you yet. Will you ever be? I don't know, Dad. I really don't know. He drove away, and I stood in the driveway of my suddenly empty house, understanding exactly what I'd lost. Not just Lyle. Not just the summer. But my son's trust. My son's respect. The relationship we'd built over 18 years, damaged by 2 months of selfish desire. That was 5 years ago. Dante and I have rebuilt our relationship, slowly. He calls once a week now. Visits on holidays. He's forgiven me, mostly. But things aren't the same. Will never be the same. I haven't seen Lyle since that morning in my kitchen. Don't know where he is, what he's doing, if he ever thinks about me. I've looked, of course. Social media, Google, mutual acquaintances. But he's vanished completely, like he never existed. Sometimes, late at night, I pull out that letter. Read his words. Remember the feel of him, the taste of him, the way he looked at me like I was worth something. And I wonder, was it worth it? 2 months of happiness for 5 years of guilt? 1 summer of being seen for a lifetime of wondering what if? I don't have an answer. All I know is that my son's best friend turned 18 and confessed he'd loved me for years. And I loved him back. And it destroyed everything. But here's the truth I've never told anyone. If I could go back, knowing how it would end, knowing what it would cost, I'd do it again. Not because I'm selfish. Not because the pain was worth it. But because Lyle Brennan loved me in a way no one else ever has. Completely. Unreservedly. without hesitation. And for 2 months, I got to love him back. And that kind of love, forbidden, impossible, doomed from the start, doesn't leave you unchanged. It ruins you. And sometimes, being ruined is the only way to understand you were alive.